I have your attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. Your host Superman in the house, and man, we have got a mega guest today, CryptoGraphics, and I know that he is excited about talking about Unity, which is going to be launching anytime within the next 3 days, as I understand it. So we're going to get into all the alpha from CryptoGraphics. I know it's going to be great. I know many of you are looking forward to it. Obviously, Taurus has been a huge success on Ethereum and Titanix, and now we've got Unity come into Pulse Chain. It's going to be epic. Watch out for the Pulse X. I think it's going to be disappearing pretty quickly. But probably more importantly than that is that we've got this alpha staking platform with some of the best tokenomics on the planet launching on Pulse Chain, which I'm super excited for. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get into that today. Don't forget to share the show around on X, of course. And there's the link right there. Share the show on X and share that around. It's always good to help the influencers out there sharing the good word about Pulse Chain, about crypto and all that sort of good stuff. And of course, today we're talking about Unity and what a beautiful name that is to be launching on Pulse Chain, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to get straight into it. Let's meet CryptoGraphics and not muck around here. Let's go. Hey, welcome, CryptoGraphics.
Hey, man. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. And last time you had you on, we were talking about Taurus, but now we're talking about Unity, which is you're moving fast. You're moving fast.
I need more hands and more hours in the day. And then more caffeine as well.
Yeah. Hey, look, I was just going to say to people that are in the chat, if you've got any questions, get them in the chat there, and we'll definitely have some Q&A time during the live stream. And of course, this thing's going to be massive. This thing's going to be massive. Unity, I'm really excited about it. So looking forward to big things from the Unity and adoption on Pulse Chain. But some people may not know who you are, CryptoGraphics. So I was just wondering whether you give them just a quick rundown of your background as well. Cheers.
Yeah, of course. So, and let me just see. I see my mic's a little low. Let me just turn it up. Boom. All right. So I got into, so who I am, I guess I'll tell you about how I got into crypto. I'll make it really nice and brief, but essentially, love telling this part because it's kind of unique, is that my mom actually got me into crypto, and I wasn't at all in the space. She convinced me to get in here. Next thing you know, after a year of pestering me, I finally started reading Blockchain for Dummies, Bitcoin for Dummies, and doing research. I found Hex. I kept trying to talk to people about it. Of course, people are objecting. So every time someone objects, I go do more research. Next thing you know, I had a buddy that basically challenged me and said, you need to either create a TikTok or a YouTube channel. And so I selected YouTube because I can't stand TikTok. And about a month later, I had 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Talking about PulseX, Hex, and it was a ton of fun. Started working with people and helping people get into the Pulse Chain. And over the next year and a half, I didn't realize at the time, I would be creating models, released a book, and did a whole bunch of stuff that eventually would be the groundwork that I had no idea was the groundwork that would eventually allow me to have a flash of lightning moment as I was about 6 to 8 months into what I thought was the build I wanted to build, where the flash of lightning came in for Taurus and Unity. And almost a year later from that moment, actually to the day, here we are, where now Taurus has been live for 38 days now, and Unity is about to go live. And I've gone from YouTuber to founder, and I still can't believe we're here. So it's been wild.
It's absolutely amazing. And look, I think you've done an incredible contribution to the Pulse Chain and crypto generally. I think you're the best communicator out there as one of the influencers. I think you've been amazing. And now you're a whiz kid founder, and I really love it. I love it. So congratulations to you. And it's exciting to see your journey as well as, of course, these protocols play out as well. So it's really a pleasure to have you on the show. And as you guys know, I'm a big supporter of CryptoGraphics and what he's doing because it really is amazing. A great guy and a great idea matched together. That makes for some magic, right? Makes for some magic. So that was cool. Oh, it's a magic bell.
I love it.
All right. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. We got quite a few people in today. This is starting to roll in. So big shout out to Frank White out there. Big welcome. We got DJ and Hickskin in the house as well. Superman 5555. I like that. We got Rich Landon in the house. Yo. Damien in as well, pulling up to show support. There we go. That's pretty cool. Good to see you, Damien. And we got Pulse6 as well. Huge moves in Pulse Chain. Yeah, Pulse Chain's on the move right now. CryptoGraphics. You've been noticing that?
Yeah. I just looking at the chart, being like, whoa, not yet.
Yeah. Well, marketing's coming, right? Marketing's coming. You got to get those charts breaking out. They're already over the averages and etc. So, the market makers. I heard someone was talking about $3 million+ coming over the bridge. Certainly, seen $750,000. It's definitely on the move. Huge moves. Yeah, absolutely. Sean in house. Morning, all Sean. Great to see you as well. Big welcome to everybody. Frank White with the palm trees. I guess you'll be on a holiday during this bull market, Frank White, pumping the bags. 369 Unity. That's from Sean. Frank White says PLS Start is looking forward to adding Unity. Yeah. So that's the big Pulse Chain ecosystem map. Fantastic. We got Fat Sammy in the house there. I was just on his show as a guest. Thanks, Fat Sammy, for that. Appreciate that. And Q-Baller as well. Morning, all. Good to see you. Steve Craig says, Q-Baller. And we got Andy in house. LFG, let's go. Wookie's in the house. Wookie is over this love. Crap. Wookie, you've changed your title. You normally have the Taurus Slayer on there. You're going to have the Unity Slayer from now on. Unity Slayer announced there. We got O-Trees in the house as well. 100. Oh, there we go. There's Wookie to say. He's using 2 accounts. Sneaky. Stop greasing, Wookie says. Yeah. Welcome. You're going to have to change that to Unity Slayer or add in Unity Slayer. It's probably a better way to put it. We got Brennan in the house as well. Graphics has an impressive beard. Yeah. I think we can all agree with that. Whoops, it's all over. It says you are. And we got Crypto Utah in the house there. Another Titanx founder and influencer out there. The beard of knowledge. There we go. That's pretty cool. So welcome to everybody. Welcome to CryptoGraphics. That was a great introduction. But hey, look, I want to get straight into it, and I don't want to muck around. I want to get into Unity. It's going to be, I think, one of the biggest projects on Pulse Chain this cycle and into the future because it's designed for long life. 2 more is in house there. What's up, Superman? The green candles are looking nice. I could get used to them. We are so close. Now, here's the other thing. Taurus launched when Bitcoin pumped, massively pumped there. I think what did it get to? 121 or something like that. It was a big day, 118, something like that. It was a pretty big day. You launched Taurus, and now you're launching Unity, and Pulse Chain is now on the pump. What is with this timing? It's crazy. It's hilarious. Anyway, so it's pretty exciting. Anyway, let's get into it before I muck around too much. And there we go. Infinite us there.
There we go.
So this is the Unity DApp, which I think I'll post the link in the chat there so people can check it out as well. You can walk along with us. But I'd like you to take it away, CryptoGraphics. This is your project. Let's get into it. What are we seeing here?
Yeah, so this is the Unity DApp. And of course, this is no longer testnet. This is the real DApp. But if you look at the top, it says day 0, meaning it has not launched yet. So this is a preparatory state. I don't want anyone thinking that Unity is live. So if there's another Unity token or anything out there that pretending to be Unity is not live until it is announced at CryptoGraphics at unity.win on X, the official Telegram, or within the white paper. Just want to put that out there. But this is the DApp. And so you're going to be able to come here and get used to the DApp pre-launch. And as you can see, it's just like Taurus. If you're used to Taurus, it's incredibly simple. You choose the amount of PLSX or PLS. And actually, we made a small change, which is actually a huge change that you're playing with right now.
That's new.
Yeah. So I was going to say, there's 2 announcements we're going to have today. I'm going to get to one of them a little later, but this one's fantastic because you can, if you're wanting to, as you can see on the right there, if you want to come and participate in Unity using PLS or PLSX, you choose which token you want over there. And then as you come back over, there are 2 different features or 2 different ways of letting the system know how much PLS or PLSX you want to put in the system to participate in Unity. And once you've selected PLS or PLSX, at the top, right above that left box, you can select Power or you can select Pulse. I would say most people just go for Pulse or PulseX. Power is used as a metric to allow the system to calculate everything. But if you just want to type in your Pulse or PulseX, just click the little Pulse or PulseX button next to where it says Power. And now you can just type in whatever's in your wallet and you're done. No more trying to figure out what 1,000 power is or how many pulses. way easier. So I can't remember who gave us this suggestion, but you know who you are, and thank you, because this was a brilliant idea, and I think this makes it so much nicer.
To whoever you are out there.
There's a Telegram, and I can't remember exactly. We have so many amazing people in the Telegram that have so many suggestions all the time that I honestly can't remember who it is, but you know who you are. So this is the DApp, and let's start with the creation. Creation is now the easiest way to think of creation is kind of like a mint and auto stake, where when you put a certain amount of PLSX or PLS in, you get a fixed rate that decays daily, meaning you get a little bit less each time you put in the same amount of Pulse or PulseX daily, but you're getting like your minted tokens that you're going to get at the end of up to 88 days, whatever you select. Now, this is like an auto stake because you're going to earn on top of this pre-minted amount of tokens. And we call it creating here, but you create your Unity, and that's what you're guaranteed to get. It's like what you've minted. And what you mint or create is actually actually gives you an earning capacity, right? So the more you create,
just before we move, so you get this created Unity day one, pretty much, right?
You're credited day one, yes.
Day one. This is the amount you get up front, basically. Day one, yeah, and then you get this future Unity every day. You get a little bit more every day out of the reward pool. Yeah,
exactly. And so this is better for high prices, right? So what happens is if you put in PulseX, right, and let's say you put in $1,000 of PulseX, and your created Unity or what you get out would be on par with that value. You know, there's the ROI should be equal to what staking is going to be, right? But what happens is if the value of Unity goes up against PulseX, now the ROI is going to spike in favor of the creation mechanism. So essentially, what happens here in a nutshell, when the price goes up, you get more shares for every dollar when you're going in the creation side. That's as simple as it is. More shares equals more earning capacity, and more created Taurus, more earned Taurus, or sorry, Unity. I'm probably going to mix those up all the time. Just FYI, everyone. Sorry about that in advance.
Fair enough.
But then the opposite is also true for if we go to the staking. So when the price comes below or drops down, and you see the creation ROI slip below the staking ROI, this is your signal that now you can come in the system. You can stake Unity, pay a small fee in either PLS or PLSX. You don't get that back, by the way. And you are going to...
How much is that fee?
It's a 5% fee of what it costs to create the amount of tokens you want to stake.
Yep.
So now, of course, it's probably going to say zeros across the board because there's no price, there's no nothing.
And this is Unity now. So back here, we were putting in PulseX or Pulse, depending on which one we choose for the creating.
Yep.
But for staking, if you've got Unity already, so if you've already got Unity, you can put Unity in the staking. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And so the lower the price goes, remember how we talked about when prices go up on the creation side, you get more shares for the money? The same is true for staking, but when the price goes down. So the lower the price goes, the more shares you get by buying and staking tokens, because you get more tokens with every dollar as the price goes down lower, and every token is worth more shares in the system. It's really that simple.
Fantastic. So price of Unity goes up, you get more shares with creating. If the price of Unity goes down, you get more shares staking.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really.
That's fantastic. Now, we've also got, with creating, you've got no 5% fee, right? But with staking, you do have a 5% fee. What's the reason behind that?
Yeah. So because you're creating and you're only depositing PLS or PLSX, the system retains that and uses that for various functions to support itself, like a buy and burn, which buys and burns the Unity token and deletes it. It also builds its own liquidity pool, and it buys and burns also PulseX, which is great, right? We've it's in the title, it buys and burns PulseX. That's freaking awesome. So the system, though, in order to make sure it always has firepower, it always has something in the system to support itself, that 5% fee is small enough where, you know, it's only going to add a little bit. It's not going to take away from the ROI, but it's not so small where it's not actually helping the system. It takes years and years for this to get powerful enough. And it also is not too big or too small where as the crossover happens where creating ROI goes less than staking ROI, it's not too small or too big, right? You have a little bit of a window. So there's a lot that goes into it, but that staking fee is really more so just to support the system and make sure no matter what, especially given how this is designed, right? And the demand that it requires of people coming in consistently every 88 days to keep earning. Every time people come in, it brings in PLS or PLSX, meaning every 88 days, it brings in more funds to support itself. And that's the most powerful thing about that metric right there.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so that is so we've got creating, which you get more shares as the price goes up. Especially we've got staking, which means you take Unity, not Pulse or PulseX this time. You got Unity, you can stake your Unity, and you can get some shares and earn some of the more Unity, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So you've also got length here as well. So you got length on here, and you got length on creating and staking. So we've already talked about the volume, I guess, the amount that you can put in for Pulse or PulseX or Unity on the staking. But we've also got the this other variable here, earned length. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. So both for creating and for staking, the maximum time you can stake or create for is the same. It's between 1 and 88 days. And you can go any number in between 1 and 88. It's completely up to you. The costs and the amount of tokens you're going to earn, the shares, all of that are going to dramatically change based on how long or how short that you are going to select to create or stake for. And that's by design to favor on an exponential scale, meaning extremely in favor of longer creations and stakes. The shorter you go, the more expensive it is, and the less you're likely to get, meaning it's way more risky, way more difficult, not impossible. Because if we looked at Taurus, what you'd see is people were actually doing not super short, like mid 20s to 30-day creations, and they were doing some seriously good compounding. They were making some fantastic moves going a little bit shorter. This doesn't mean that Unity is going to be exactly the same, but it just goes to show you that these shorter creations and stakes actually can be profitable and can be good moves, but they're higher risk. So you just got to know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yep. So you can do maximum 88 days, minimum 1 day. So basically, when it launches, you can come in and create, which is, I guess, what a lot of people will be doing, the majority. Because what's the starting supply of Taurus to start off with?
Right. So with the starting supply, it will be placed in a liquidity pool, which is again 20,000 Unity, similar to the Taurus launch. But 2 billion PulseX and 20,000 Unity will be put in a liquidity pool as soon as there's sufficient PLSX in the system to create that liquidity pool. And as soon as that happens, boom, then you can actually go and buy and stake. But until then, you're not going to be able to buy on the market until that liquidity pool is made. So the only action that's going to be available is actually the creating mechanic initially until that pool starts.
Yeah. Okay. So when if you're watching, when the protocol launches, you'll be able to come in and start creating, and you can either use PulseX or Pulse, and you can then set the term, and you can do as many as you like. You could do a ladder, or you could just go all max. It's up to you what strategy you want to take into account. But of course, you've got Taurus out there as a kind of a reference point that you can base things on. So that's pretty exciting. So everyone's going to be in there, and when they do that, they're going to get shares, right? So really, you're getting shares and a reward pool. That's how simple. You got rewards on one side of Unity, you got shares on the other. You come in, create, you get shares, and it gives you a share of the reward pool. That's how simple Taurus is at the most simplest level, I guess.
Yeah, seriously, it's all around shares. You know, you're earning. The reason there's shares is because there's only one place where everyone's earning from. Whether you're staking or creating, you're competing for the same supply coming from what's called the Unity pool, or the Unity pool, right? And so the shares allow both creators and stakers to get shares and then compete from different entry points for that same supply that is limited and declining over time, meaning there's a fixed amount that can only ever be released from this pool that gets more and more and more difficult over time to actually capture.
Yeah. And so we're going to see shares fluctuate too over time, right? We'll have shares going in, shares going out as creations and stakes mature, and then people go back in and just make certain decisions. So we're going to see that, but all that while, the mathematics is doing what? The mathematics is telling you incentivizing you to go back in again, essentially. Is that the way we should view it?
Yep. It's like there's an infinite dangling carrot or infinite dangling carrots, because as the way it works is the system, this ROI that you're going to see that says obviously negative 100% right now, because there's literally, it's obviously just sitting here. What's going to happen is when people, let's say a ton of people come in on day one and no one else comes in after, just for sake of example here. Now, as we go into day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the ROI when everyone came in on day one will go down tremendously because it's going to go from no one's in the pool and there's 1 million tokens available to now everyone's in the pool and there's still that fixed number of tokens available over 88 days. But what happens is this ROI is looking into the future and it's calculating how many people are in the future, what's the average number of shares. And so as there are lower number of share days or no shares in future days past this point, what happens is that ROI is going to start to creep up because it's calculating into the future the earning potential. And so what happens is if no one were to come back into the system by day 88, people would be staring at like a multi-million % ROI again because there's no one in the pool and there's all these tokens up for grabs. So you're basically having this carrot that gets bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on, as you get closer to like a big release day, because those shares have not come out of the system and they have not been put back in, right? So there's future days where they're not included. So it's a really cool system.
We got up to day like 89 and then everyone decided not to go back in. They'd got their tourists and maybe someone selling into the market or whatever. The ROI would expect it to just skyrocket. Is that what you're essentially saying? It would really go up really high. Now the thing about that is because that's only one side of it, right? The other side of it is that you're capturing all this value into your buy and burn trees, which we're going to talk about next. So you're capturing all that. So it does actually drive people to go in because it's like it's a sort of, they go together, don't they, in terms of reinforcing the long-term value proposition for the protocol.
Oh, they really do. I mean, you've got the buy and burn is, I mean, even with Taurus right now, it's set to 1%, the minimum. And it's still set to 64% instead of 84%, which it will be perpetually because it's still in that liquidity building phase.
Right.
And it is doing work holding that price up over time. People are compounding like crazy. And so that buy and burn and the buy and burn for Unity is going to be so powerful to really keep that ROI high and keep that carrot nice and juicy so that people are constantly incentivized. They're over incentivized at all times to come back in the system, right? When the ROI is high and getting higher for creation, people are going to compound. But even when it drops low for the creation ROI, that staking ROI is still going to be huge. And so even as soon as price crosses over and people were selling, now because of the way the staking ROI works and that big carrot has now just gone from creating to now staking, now people are incentivized to just stake and the selling incentivization stops. And as soon as people do that, the buy and burn has clear skies, the buy and build has clear skies, and it can just go to work pushing the price back up, putting everyone back into profit and allowing creation to even begin again.
Right. Fantastic. That's a beautiful mechanism. So that's part of the magic we were looking forward to see. Now, obviously, Taurus is already running. It's been running for 38 days, 39 days, something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's exciting. You can go and check that out to see how that's been operating as a benchmark. But of course, we're going to have different, I guess, adoption and use on Pulse Chain. So it's going to be fun to see the differences. And I guess that means that we're going to have two creation ROIs and two staking ROIs as well. So you got to get this cross-chain difference as well, which is going to be pretty fun.
It's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see them both. They're the same system, but because of where they're launching and the community that's going to be interacting with them primarily, they are going to act so different. And the blockchain that they're built on, they're going to be totally different animals. And I can't wait to see how they both behave as they both start to get legs and really grow.
Fantastic. So yeah, and Taurus is based on ETH and Titan X. So those variables, the fundamentals for those, and obviously we know there's some huge ones out there right now regarding stable coins and tokenization, all the other themes that are out there. And then we got Pulse Chain, which we're obviously seeing a pump today. And so market makers have come in and we got marketing starting and all the rest of the pump mentors we talk about all the time. So yeah, we're going to get two different animals basically running around doing some cool stuff. That's pretty much it.
It's going to be wild.
Now, with this, of course, once you do a creation and stake, you have to claim it, right? So I think we've got Titan X here says, is there any penalty fees? So I guess that comes into this. When things mature, like your creation or your staking, is there any tokenomics around that?
Yeah. So if we were to just scroll down just a touch, you'll notice that underneath the staking and creation tab, there's a little table here. And your stakes and creations, as soon as you create them, will all be here under the active stakes or active creations tab. You can see under the stakes, it's got three different tabs. You got active stakes, you got claimable, and then ended. as well. And that same format is there for creations or stakes. When your stake or creation is active, meaning it's still earning, it's not ended yet, it'll be there. As soon as it's able to be claimed, it'll move to that middle tab, and then you'll be able to claim it within 14 days when there's no penalties whatsoever. Now, after 14 days, there's a 7-day penalty zone, but the caveat here is that the penalties only come out from your earned tokens.
So they only come out from the stuff that you earn every day, this additional stuff in terms of Unity. Yeah. So they don't touch your staked, your initial Unity if it was staked, or your created Unity if you did a creation. They doesn't touch that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great question there from Titanix. Is that Jake Sharp?
And I'll say one thing on that too. So the fees there. So you might be asking, okay, well, what happens when penalties are taken, right?
Mhm.
Well, 50% of those fees are burned, completely burned.
Let's
The
go.
other 50% goes back to everyone else still in the Unity pool earning. So it's very beneficial for everyone as a whole to see that happen. And one final thing I'll say for the stakes is that staking and creations have one unique difference, other than their various mechanics, which is staking can be ended early, starting at the 50% mark. And then you can end early from any point from 50% to 100%. At 50%, you're only getting what you staked back. And every percent or every increment between 50 and 100% that you complete, you're going to get slightly more earned tokens back plus your principal, which opens up a huge amount of game theory, which we've already been seeing in Taurus. Oh my God.
It does, and that's a very important part here. You've really put the spanner in the works here, because you have staking, which you've given optionality, and that changes the whole game, because people can end at 50% or 75%. They get 50% back right of their earned Unity, and so it is you've really changed things up there. So we could see all sorts of things with shares coming out. We could see changes in the market price, but of course that's going to affect the other variables, right? In terms of staking maybe becoming more more popular in terms of the ROI, or at least technically more favorable. So it's you really put the spanners in. I love it, and we're going to see that play out. I think on Taurus, we're going to see a sneak peek of that on Taurus, particularly over the next, I think, from now to day sort of 88 or 89. So I think we're going to see a lot of that play out there. And then, of course, beyond day 89, which is after the first max period that people have started, we're going to see the whole all the mechanics actually play out really dynamically. I think it's going to be fun. And back to the kind of the mathematics that you've set up and the tokenomics drive behavior. So that's going to be really cool. We've got a few other questions here quickly. Brendan says, if you use Pulse to create opposed to PulseX, do you pay an extra fee for that Pulse to swap to PulseX to add to the buy and burn pool?
You pay the only extra little bit that you're paying is actually for something we haven't talked about, or we have talked about, but we haven't really talked about it a lot, which is when you pay for Pulse to come into the system, you're also paying for a small transaction to buy with, you could think of 4 cents, just over 4 cents on every dollar that you're depositing goes to buying and burning Pulse X. But everything else is the same. Like, doesn't matter if you're doing PLSX or PLS. If you're doing PLS, you're only depositing it in one side of the buy and burn or buy and build contract. If you do PLSX, it's the other side of that same contract. So the fees are the same there, but only if you come in PLS, it's going to be a handful more Pulse. But I mean, I don't even think that can register on the dollar yet. So, okay.
That's a good question though. Yep.
Yeah.
Titanix says, thank you. Sounds good. And I'm not Jake Sharp. Yeah, I know. I was just teasing, but it's fun. You just never know. We got Brent says, I like that you get back your principal in staking if you miss the 7-day in stake period. And then Wookie the Taurus Slayer says Wookie ended a creation just this week on Taurus and went long and genius. There we go.
Nice.
Nice one. All right. So is anything else we need to say about creating and staking here, or we've essentially covered it?
Yes. So actually, this is where we get to the fun part where I get to announce something that I didn't get to announce for Taurus at launch, but Taurus will get this before. And actually, Taurus will get this tonight at midnight PST. So
awesome.
What I'm about to say applies to Taurus. It'll come tonight. In Unity, when you create in the dApp, you will have the choice to create or stake normally, which means it's called a classic creation or classic stake, which means you are going to be able to just have your creation or stake fixed to the wallet that you've selected for up to 88 days. Doesn't matter how long it is, but however long you've selected it for, it's locked to this wallet, can't be moved, can't do anything with it, right?
Yep.
Additionally, now, as soon as Unity goes live, it will have what's called wrapped creations and wrapped stakes that will be able to be chosen, which means you can move once you choose to encapsulate your NFT or encapsulate your creation or stake into an NFT. You'll be able to move that NFT from wallet to wallet, or even sell it on the open market, and whatever else gets dreamed up in the future for using those NFTs, you'll be able to do that. So for security reasons, I mean, this is going to be huge. You can really make sure your stuff is safe if you ever feel like you're compromised, or if you don't want a certain wallet to touch dApps. You can even create or stake on one wallet, send your NFT over to the other that's secure on a hardware wallet, and you're, in your vault underneath your house in the place that no one knows is there, and then you can ship it back over when you want to claim. So there's tons of functionality to it, but that's going to be one of the biggest things that people are going to be able to enjoy with Unity right out of the gate that Taurus didn't quite have, is the wrapped creations and wrapped stakes. You can think of them like HSIs, the hex staking instances from Hedron. It's the same thing applied over here.
Fantastic. So I guess that opens up a world of possibilities as well. And I'll let you talk about that at some stage. But that's very exciting indeed. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm really excited about it because I know it's going to have a lot of possibilities. So that was really, really cool with the wrapped stakes. So yeah, it's going to be cool. All right, so that's pretty much that, I think. So yeah, just as an overview, when Unity launches within the next few days, we'll talk about that. You can either do creation, which is pretty much what you're going to do, and then you can do as many as you like. You can do ladders, and that will get you shares, and the shares will get you a share of the Unity reward pool, which is every day, and we're going to talk more about that, what the reward pool is coming up soon. So I think that's kind of a basic summary for those people that want to just get the basic idea. So it's pretty simple from that point of view. Put in the amount of PulseX or power, and then the length, and start creating either with PulseX or Pulse. Get some shares and earn some sweet Unity. That's probably the play. All right, so let's go on to the next one, which is Burn. Burn, baby, burn. And this is huge as well. This is really part of the magic, I think. So do you want to walk us through some of this?
Would love to. Yeah. So Unity has a massive buy and burn. It also has a buy and build, which is dedicated for liquidity. And these two contracts are perpetual. So they can each be called every single 10 minutes, and a small amount of either, or potentially a large amount, depending on how the buy and burn or buy and build is set. And we can talk about that at some point too. But perpetually, the buy and burn will have 84% of all the funds that are deposited in PLSX and PLS that come into the system. They're going to go into these smart contracts here, which are the buy Unity with PLS and buy Unity with PLSX contracts. But about a quarter of all the funds that are sent to this buy and burn are going to be stored in what's called the fractal. Now, the fractal is a subcontract. It's kind of like a time vault, but it's released every 110 days into the contract. And this makes sure that every 110 days, there's always funds to support the protocol, no matter what. So it builds up and then releases them. And then it's not like a one-day event where it's just like a God candle. It deposits back in the contracts and then it operates normally. Now, that doesn't mean that the price or that the buy and burn can't kick way up, because let's say there's $10 million in the fractal, like just hypothetically speaking, right? And there's $1 in the buy and burn currently. Well, there's going to be nothing happening with the buy and burn, right? Even if it was set to its max settings. But as soon as the fractal ticks over and $10 million were to go into the buy and burn, then you're having a massive jump in buy pressure that's going to happen immediately, which think of it as like a burn party, but yeah, it's very situational.
So that fractal on day 110, it's getting 28% of the Pulse and PulseX from creating the staking. On day 110, that's going to come and fill up the buy and burn.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And the buy and burn, it's going to operate essentially from what, day one?
Yep, day one, moment one. As soon as things kick off, it's going to be going. No, actually, it's going to be collecting Obviously, these contracts don't work until the LP is created. So these contracts are going to build up until sufficient PLSX is in them. And then it's going to use the first 2 billion that gets in the protocol to actually build the liquidity. And then it will start operating, but it'll only start operating if people actually call it, because it is decentralized and people need to actually click the button to make it work. Right. So
wallet up, yeah.
Exactly.
So you're gonna be capturing some pulse in here. You're gonna be capturing in the buy and burn. You're capturing some pulse X. You're gonna have a certain amount of pulse and pulse X on each buy and burn, and then you got user rewards for basically clicking the buy and burn, and therefore it's decentralized. Now it's going to be set on the low limit. You said between 1 and 10% of the balance. So of this pulse and pulse X balance is going to be used per day.
Correct.
And every 10 minutes, it could potentially be called. It's going to be easier on Pulse Chain too, right? Because essentially cheaper fees, one would think over time as well.
Yep.
So how much? What's the percentage of the Pulse and PulseX when people do creations and stake creations there that goes into this buy and burn to kick it off?
So initially, it's going to be set, like the starting numbers for the amount per day that's going to be used of the total balance is going to be set to 1%. And the amount of the funds that are sent specifically to the buy and burn is going to be 64% initially. And this is really important to understand why this isn't starting at 84%, is because 64% means that we can actually increase the buy and build allocation from 8% all the way to 28, which means that Unity can get a super thick, super robust liquidity pool right away, as soon as possible. Yeah. And it gets this thing super ready for a mature market, and it gets it way more stable. So it doesn't have growing pains, and then those percentages can be switched back. So the minimum that the buy and burn can be set to is 64%.
Okay.
The maximum the buy and build can be set to is 28%. Okay. So the buy and burn can then be switched to 84. The buy and build can then go to 8, and everything else stays the same. And now here's the crazy thing too, because yes, these are controls, right? But the way I wanted this protocol to be able to operate was to have parameters within a limit, and also to have the ability to guide this thing and let it operate at its fullest, which means the buy and burn, like I said, can only be shut down to 64%, or brought down, I should say, to 64%. But everything else can be brought down to 0. So this means the buy and burn can increase as high as 100% of all incoming funds if it needs to.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep. Because at some point, the liquidity pool might get so big that it's just a waste of economic energy to keep building that pool, right? So why have a value leak there that's just perpetually like releasing 8% of the funds, right? Just reroute it to and anytime these are turned down, the way the contracts are designed is it automatically reroutes everything coming in to the buy and burn only. There's no control over that. It is immutable in the code.
Okay. Well, we've got some related questions around the strategy of how these might be used, these limits. Brennan says here, what will be the buy and burn strategy for that contract wallet? So I guess we could answer that. And he's also got what factors would have to play out for the max buy and burn to activate. So there's a little bit there around the strategy and activation.
So what will the buy and burn strategy for that contract wallet? Well, if you've been around buy and burn protocols, what you'll maybe have learned is that you can't tell people exactly what's going to happen. People have to watch and understand over time. What I can say is that Unity is designed in a way that, will be consistent over time. And so people can learn and watch and figure out what's happening and how it will operate. But, people like to front run. People like to do things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, if people knew what was going on, it actually adds a lot to the value of the project, not knowing. So there's your answer, Brennan. Good question, though. We got what factors would have to play out for the max buy and burn? I guess you could talk a little bit about this potentially with how the project is going at any point in time.
Yeah, so I guess it's the criteria is pretty loose because it's just context. It's very based on the context of what's happening at that time, right? Mm-hmm. Like I would say, as a very loose way of looking at it, if the liquidity was so big that even cranking up the settings to the max would do almost nothing for a buy and build or a buy and burn for Pulse X, then it's probably time to reduce those settings, right? It's a waste of economic energy at that point.
Yeah.
So, and also the alternative is Unity can be used as a governance token. So at some point, if this were to ever have a DAO and ever have a community vote, theoretically speaking, that could just be something that people change. And that would be completely out of the control of any one person. It would be a community decision at that point. And that may or may not happen, but that's the only other time really where something like that really would take place.
Well, I guess this kind of brings into, if let's take the really bullish scenario around Pulse Chain. Obviously, ETH's got a very bullish scenario around the Genius Act and stablecoins and everything else that we talked about earlier. But Pulse Chain's obviously you've been around the magic carpet ride and all sorts of other variables with whales and big protocols and all sorts of stuff coming in. What on the upside? How would that big scenario? I mean, Pulse would be worth a lot. PulseX would be worth a lot. The buy and burn would be an incredible amount, right? How does that play into strategy and the buy and burn limits from your point of view?
I mean, that's it. It just depends. Like the higher we go, let's look at this from a point of you're in the protocol. You just watched everything do 100 or 1,000 or more X, right? You're sitting on, and you got in early, or you got in a period where you actually made what we're talking about here, 100 or 1,000 or whatever many X, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to be like, well, I want to change my life. I'm going to realize this in some way, shape, or form. So there's probably going to be a lot of profit taking at some point.
Yep.
What is the most powerful way to mitigate that? Well, the buy and burn, it depends on liquidity, but the buy and burn is probably the most efficient way to do that because, especially if liquidity is absolutely massive, right? Mm-hmm. The buy and burn is 100%. There's no dilution in the value there. Every dollar is going into Unity and then burning it versus with the buy and build, what's happening is that 50%. So every call amount, say it's $100 for a call amount on PulseX, mm-hmm. $50 buys Unity. The other $50 stays in PulseX and they both pair in liquidity. So you only have every call amount. So actually 50% of the funds that are in the buy and build are actually buying Unity, which is a big difference when it comes to you want to support the price, you want to support everything, but it also depends on where the liquidity is at. So, I mean, if prices go that high, I mean,
yeah, it could be pretty insane. And Brendan says here Unity might be the biggest PulseX reserve on Pulse Chain at some stage. So that'd be pretty cool.
It might be. Very well could be.
Now, obviously, we've got this theme on Ethereum around its strategic ETH reserves, and of course, the Pulse Chain stack sitting at number 5. Obviously, Pulse Chain is a full system stake fork of Ethereum, and of course, we potentially have some of that narrative could be played out on a Pulse Chain as well, which is just another pump mental. If we see even 10% of that sort of play out, it could be pretty huge. And so people were, joking around with now we just got tokens. It was just tokens before. Now everything's a reserve, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So is it semantics? One would ask you, but we may see that whole thing play out, and it's a narrative, right? That sells humans as psychological manipulated. But anyway, we got that play. But what I was going to say is that we've got so we talked about the buy and burn impact on Unity. But here we've got PulseX and the buy and burn. There's also that buy and burn aspect of 4 cents and $1 type thing on the PulseX. The more volume that goes into here from people that come in one after another, right? The more buy and burn you have on PulseX. Do you want to talk about the impact of PulseX as well?
Yeah. So I love this because if this doesn't make you bullish on PulseX and Unity, I don't know what will. So for the record, 0.06% on the PulseX exchange, version 2, buys and burns using the volume, PulseX. Unity is 3 times higher burn rate for every single dollar that comes into the system. And you must use PulseX or Pulse in order to participate. Yeah. And as the supply expands, meaning more supply comes out, more PLSX is required over time to stake that supply, and it just goes exponential. So if you like buy and burns and you like seeing PulseX disappear off the market, you might want to brace yourself.
So just say that factor again. So compared to a PulseX V2 buy and burn, you're saying how many times is a bigger rate of buy and burn per dollar? Is that the way you're phrasing it?
Yeah, let me just, it's 0.06.
If you could do it, because I think this is a powerful number. That's why I'm focusing on it. Because
yes, 71.8x more.
71.8x, and I guess you just take that rate and then times it by the volume that's going in. It's just going to be super huge.
Yep.
So if this does, yeah.
I was going to say for just make this super simple. On $1 billion of volume, PulseX V2 buys and burns $600,000 in PulseX. On $1 billion in volume, $43 million is bought and burned through Unity.
Wow. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's and this is on top of course, the buy and burn, which is incredible. So I think we're sitting, PulseX sitting about 7.59, somewhere like that percent of excluding the OA. So now you've got a real supercharge on top of there, which is amazing. And of course, you've got all the other protocols that take PulseX in, the supply syncs. So yeah, it's things are going to heat up pretty nicely there. And this is probably an unexpected pumpamental on Pulse Chain that you're kind of announcing now, which is pretty awesome. I know you've been on a few other YouTube channels, but this is pretty awesome. The last couple of days hearing about this, groundbreaking tokenomics. So on one hand, we've got this groundbreaking staking ROI protocol for people to enter and enjoy during what we think is the bull market ahead. And then on the other hand, you've got this massive, system benefit for PulseX with this massive buy and burn 73 times the rate of PulseX V2, which I think is amazing. So it's pretty exciting. All right. Anything else we need to say about the buy and burn before we move on to the rewards? Because obviously people were created, I guess, to get shares, and they want to get some rewards. So we're going to talk about that next. Anything else about the buy and burn?
The only thing I could add really is that 1 to 10% sounds like, 1% is not that much. If you go watch Taurus right now, that 1% is actually quite hot. And you know what? In hindsight, I could have lowered it to 0.5%. I'm glad I didn't, but man, is it cooking at 1%. So,
I mean, look, Taurus prices were performing to the upside. Obviously, we had a bit of a supply come out on day 38, I think it was, so a jump. But then we've got 2 quiet days, I think, ahead of us, 39 and 40. So yeah, CryptoGraphics going, how close are you looking at these numbers?
I love it, man. I love it.
But just before we leave, I think the fractal there, you've talked about how that goes into the buy and burn on day 110. Why what day 110? Obviously, max creation and staking is 88 days. Why 100 day 110?
Yeah, I wanted it to be something that it's, well, for one, I like 11s. You know, I like the 11s, and 2, it's interesting game theory, and it's not super important, but it's the game theory of every 8 cycles of 88 days, or sorry, I guess it would be 8 cycles. No, 11 cycles. Sorry, 10 cycles. I can't count. 10 cycles of creations. It would line up with the fractal essentially. Okay. And so what happens is the first one, the first couple of fractals like way ahead of creations, then it kind of goes in front of and then behind. It kind of just like bounces back and forth to kind of, instead of it always being ahead, it's being in front of the creation release, then behind the creation release on day 88. And it kind of just does this over time until it finally hits on day 880 where they release at the same time.
Okay. So how do people to understand the word fractal that you're using? How would they understand it?
I mean, fractal is just like a repeating pattern over time, you know, so it's just an ever repeating time release of funds off into the sunset. So make sure the protocol always has something in the buy and burn.
And so on the eighth cycle of 88 days, that they're going to come out at the same time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The 10th one. Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. So I guess we've got the buy and burn operating. It's going to probably start at 1%.
Yep.
We've got the buy and build building up thick liquidity to help mature the protocol and give it, pretty much a lot of projects would kill to have that kind of setup. And then day 110, we've got a refill button into the buy and burn as well. And of course, as more people go into the protocol, this what I call buy and burn treasury captures more and more value over time, supporting the project. So it's really quite a genius setup. Really is amazing. All right, so that is the buy and burn. I think we've kind of talked about that. And the next page, I guess we get to the stats, and probably what a lot of people are keen to hear is the reward setup. All right, so what are the rewards? People are getting those shares from creating and staking. what rewards are they getting for that effort?
Yeah. So you're going to be earning, if you're in the system via staking or via creating, you are both stakers and creators are earning from the Unity pool. Now, the Unity pool will distribute a declining number of tokens daily, perpetually. And it starts at 100,000 on day one, and it declines by 0.08% every single day. And if we were to add this up over 20 plus years, it will almost get to, but never quite reach 125 million.
Right.
So it's
without the buying. That's without the buying and burning, right? And any supply
exactly,
links, right? Essentially,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's without the penalties. That's without the buy and burns. That's without early end staking. You name
Second
it.
layer protocols, like extra a roadmap of protocols. So yeah. So in terms of supply sinks, I guess we're talking about them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So 125 million is kind of the max supply, guys. But then you got to take off all the rest of the accounting over time, and of course we're going to see how that plays out, which would be pretty cool. But at the first day, before day zero, how much is coming out? Because we had, I think, 8.5 million on Taurus, and then plus the 100,000, and it decreases by 0.08% every day, and it adds to a total towards that 125 million mark. So how's that playing out on Unity?
Yeah, the supply will be the exact same as Taurus. If you're familiar, you already know this, but the first 88 days will release 8.5 million tokens. The second 88 days, and remember, this isn't cyclical. This isn't like it's the system operates in 88-day cycles, but just in chunks here. So the first 88 days are going to release 8.5 million tokens. The next 88 are 8.1. Then we get to like 7.6 or 5, I believe it is, million, and it just keeps declining over time.
So they keep declining, but arguably you'd have more and more people coming in, right? So every single day eating up. So that supply is, instead of like Titanx was, where you're adding on to supply, this is actually taking a known kind of expected supply out that the maths gives you, and then it's allocating it to more and more people, flattening out the ownership or distributing the ownership a lot more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So so if the price of Pulse is high, and like we saw that on Taurus, then the value of this could be very high. And of course, we saw that hit $1 million and things like that, 1.1, 1.2. It's been pretty high on the marks there on Taurus. I might just bring up Taurus just quickly, just to show how it's working in practice here on the stats. And you can see there's a big prize pool there, a reward pool as we should call it. It's not really a prize pool, so I should be careful with my language, but reward pool there, or payout pool as it's used. So you can see we're on day 39. So this started off on day one at 100,000, but it's now 97,000 for day 39. So it's definitely coming down by 0.08% every single day. And we can see that the price of Taurus is $6.68 right now, and the value of this Taurus and the reward pool is $648,000. So any comments about that?
I guess the only thing I'd say is it's crazy that this thing was above 1.2 million. But it won't shock me when Unity launches, and if we do 100,000 tokens on day one, multiplied by whatever the price. If we were to look at right now, the price of Unity would actually be. Let me just tell you roughly.
Sure.
It would be at $4.14 if it launched right now.
Mhm.
And that means that the Unity pool will be worth over $414,000 before anyone buys.
Wow. That's
not
awesome.
too shabby, man.
That is fantastic, man. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now we do have some comments in here. We got Rich Len. I appreciate that. Just became a member. Big shout out there. Appreciate that. Welcome to the family. And of course, what else do we got? A comment here. I'll come back to your comment later on, Wookie. But we got Brennan says, "What is CryptoGraphics' favorite strategy for accumulating shares, compounding creations?" There, so he's trying to get some intel there.
My friend, I cannot give you I'm a founder. I'm no longer a YouTuber. I'm no longer in the position where I can just say what my favorite strategies are. There are many ways to play this game. All have risks, all have rewards, and there is benefit to going longer if you want a safer strategy, because you're always going to get the most shares with, the easiest, strategy. But there's also opportunity to go, whether it's a day or two or 30 or 50 days shorter, but there comes higher risk. And it really comes to your ability to time the market, as well as really think ahead and watch what people are doing and plan accordingly. And I cannot comment on this. I know you, I know you know this because I see your comment now, but I wish, but there's lots of people. If you come in the Telegram group, I don't know if you're in there already, but there's a lot of guys talking about this stuff. And I think you would have a blast picking their brains.
Mm. Now, I wanted to get just quickly, we've got so that's the reward pool. So everybody basically goes into the earn protocol, they get some shares, and those shares will give them a share of this reward pool, which, as we can see on Taurus, which is on Ethereum right now, is sitting at $648,000 for the day's rewards, and we're expecting at the minimum around just over 400K based on the price of PulseX. You said at the moment, is that right?
Yep, 414 at the moment.
14, yeah. So it's going to be pretty awesome, and that's without people buying on the market. And we saw what happened over on the Taurus side. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see that play out. Rich Landon says ladder. So that's obviously a strategy people will be doing. Mm-hmm. And you've got the experience, I guess, of Taurus to maybe play out, but like I say, a lot of moving variables there. But definitely in the play. And we've got Brennan says, I'll jump in the Telegram. Nice one there, Brennan. Now, I was going to say about this is that we've also got obviously a distribution, which we can see here. And on Taurus, we can actually see that in real time over on the Ethereum side with TitanX. And we can see the supply distribution here. We've got burn Taurus, stake Taurus, supplying the LP, which has obviously been thickening up, and the liquidity there, 1840, which is still pretty low, right? Especially after the day came out. I think we had 1,500 tokens come out for day 38. And then you've got the stats down here as well: supply, burnt Taurus, stake Taurus, total shares, which is the big number that people will be looking forward to. That's everybody's shares that are getting a share of that reward pool up the top here. And then, of course, you got the burn TitanX. So we're going to get that all on Unity. So some of your thoughts about that with the stats. With that, obviously, we've got no numbers there, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing that's been, and this is why I was saying 1% is quite hot as far as the starting number, because if we compare the Taurus burn rate, we're at almost 9,000 tokens burned already. And remember, it's only 125 million that are supposed to be out, and we're already at over almost 9,000 tokens in 38 days. That's quite hot. I've been really shocked at how fast the burning has been. Now, there is one difference, I'll say, in the rate of burning that we're going to see with Taurus and Unity. Now, because we're choosing 9mm for the liquidity pool for where we're placing liquidity for V3 specifically, 9mm has a revenue share token. And basically what happens is 50% of the fees that are taken as liquidity provider fees are actually given to the 9mm token holders, but those tokens are actually sold, right? So the only way to really operate on V3 on Pulse Chain at the moment and not have a value leak of having potentially 5.5% constant sell pressure anytime fees are taken in the Unity token, we actually mitigated this by lowering it to the lowest possible liquidity pool, which is 0.01%. So which means that the liquidity pool fees are still going to be burned when we collect them, but there is going to be a lot less. So I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference or not. We'll see. But that is one difference between the two. And 1% definitely would add up over time versus 0.005%, which is what the fee rate burn is going to be for that pool. So that might make a difference, but with everything else, I mean, it should hold up, because that was an additive thing. That was not a major tokenomic that was critical for the system. It was just an added bonus. So, but still, the buy and burn is going to be absolutely deleting the Unity supply very, very quickly if it's anything like Taurus at all.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're watching and you're new, everybody out there, then you got the reward pool coming out every day. You've got the total amount of shares down here. That's the global amount of shares. It's not just your own shares, but everybody's, and that's sharing in that reward pool. And then, of course, the more people that come in, the more shares there are. So you're basically getting slightly less tokens every day for your creations and stakes. It's probably a very important thing to remember. And then, of course, it's also having a global benefit because it's going to be burning PulseX over on Unity. And, of course, over on Ethereum, it burns TitanX, helping there. And, of course, pretty amazing 222 billion so far, TitanX. And, of course, what will it do over on PulseX? I'm expecting some pretty exciting things, especially with that 73x ratio, or rate, I should say. And that's pretty exciting. So the other thing I was going to say about this is that you've also got a buy Unity button, which is that Brandon's switch swap site? Is that Brandon?
That's actually, I got to double check with my guys, make sure it's either disabled for now or linking over to Pateus, just because a switch does not exist over on Pulse Chain quite yet. So we'll probably relink that tonight. I'm just seeing that now. So
Pateus would be a good DEX aggregator for that, right? To
exactly.
Sweep 9mm, right? Sweep 9mm. And presumably you might see pulls on other DEXs and stuff like that. So
yep.
So that's the plate. Now, what I wanted to say just before we wrap up on that, because I think that's kind of the key things, because I do want to talk about the launch window and any other things that you want to talk about, like future roadmaps, for example. Wink, wink. Is the earn protocol here. So it's very important that I think when people come in, from my point of view, is that they understand that the amount of shares that you get is dramatically impacted by the days that you put in there, right? And that's why you said, people can play the short game, the medium game, the long game. It really is designed, I think, for the long game, the staking protocol. You got any comments on that you'd like to make?
Yeah, I want to echo what you're saying, is that if you really want to understand this system and the long-term potential to be able to earn in the system over time, as the supply expands, as more people come in, as it gets more competitive, you need to maintain more tokens, because tokens have a fixed amount of shares that they're always worth in the system. One Unity is always worth 7,744 shares. So what might be the most profitable short term might actually be getting you the least number of tokens in the long term. But it also is not necessarily true. Like it depends on your strategy. We were seeing people in Taurus, do very short creations or stakes, ending them within like I think 25, 28 days, and then getting like a 5x because of the profitability that they had on that. And then now they're way up and they have way more shares, right?
Yeah, so that will be played. That will no doubt be played because people saw it on Taurus. But it does get risky, I think, once you get out of that window, that 30-day window. But yeah, it's definitely been impressive, right? Been impressive. So yeah. But I just wanted to make the point that if you go to Taurus, you can see the power of that when you do it on. We're gonna have the same thing on Unity, and that is if if you do, let's say you did I don't know what's let's do $231, so $1 billion Titan X there, and if you change the days, you see how much for $1 billion you get 3/4 of a million shares, but if you suddenly change that to 8 days, for example, you're only getting 564. So, and you can see how that changes the amount of Taurus that you get as well, and your earn Taurus. But if we actually went to max, you can see all those numbers change dramatically. Your earn Taurus goes all the way up to 2,853, and you're back up to 300 million shares. So it's very important when people do that, if they're going to do a ladder strategy, that they understand the differences and, of course, the potential opportunities as you just laid out. I think that's really important.
Yep.
So yeah.
I was going to say one last thing I want to add to this is that understanding how this works over time, because as the supply comes out, there is more potential shares trying to get into the system, which means the ROI is going to shrink, which means it's more competitive, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really important to understand that the more tokens you get early, the more staying power you're going to have in the system long term, because the first 88 to 100 days, right? Those are going to be probably the most high ROI-ish days that we're going to see in the protocol, because as soon as more tokens come out, those tokens coming out equals more shares in the system, which is going to mean that the ROI is squashed right after that. Like, for example, in Taurus, if all the tokens that are going to come out between day 80, 89 and about 110, if all of those are staked, which of course they're not all going to be staked, we can't guarantee that. But what would happen is the ROI would go from around 8,000% like it is right now, all the way down to about 100 to 150%. That's it.
So we can kind of see the Taurus coming out over here on Titan X, Ethereum, and we can see obviously the supply will change dramatically over time. That will no doubt impact the market price and adjustments, but you're getting all that volume every day, right? Extra rewards, and of course that is going to have a pretty dynamic impact. People need to be aware, and of course these candles that people are sort of familiar with on Taurus. They're all getting flatter, right? As more and more people come in between day 39 here, which is right here, and through to this where people start getting a lot of their creations maturing into day 89, we can see all these candles are getting flatter and flatter and flatter, and that's part of the a really brilliant idea of redistributing tokens in the future and flattening it out. But it certainly will have an adjustment impact, I think, on the price as we start moving into these bigger candles, and it's going to be wonderful to see it play out. Really looking forward to it as we go, and we're going to see something similar over on Unity, right? So that's we'll also see and probably have a June dashboard just like we do over on Taurus, no doubt. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But that is the play.
Yep.
Now we're up now in 5 minutes, so I'd like to spend the next couple of minutes just talking about just Q&As that people have got and questions like that, and the launch window and potential any roadmap blues clues. Because I know that you've been talking about another big protocol with groundbreaking idea coming out as well. So looking forward to that. But let's just quickly go. If you've got questions, guys, just get them in the chat there. And Wookie's got one here. It's pretty funny. I thought we'd start with this one. What is your CryptoGraphics' mother's favorite strategy since he got you into crypto? She got you into crypto.
First, I don't even know how to answer. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think she's thinking strategically. I think she's. I don't even know what to say on that front.
She's probably watching you on the big screen right now, just going.
She very well might. I might get a text message to answer.
Yeah. We got Rich Landon says, does the NFT have unique features, or is it simply a storage of the position created or staked?
It's a storage essentially. So it's readable in terms of what shares and all that stuff that you're going to have in the system. But that's it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now Brennan's basically asking the question: will we have a June dashboard for Unity? Because I know it's Mike Dean, right, that sets it up.
Well, I don't know if you noticed on the stats page, but there happened to be a Dune dashboard button.
I see. So let's go to stats page, and we got the June dashboard button right down the bottom of the stats below the burn there. Looking forward to. So is that actually activated yet? Let's have a look. Unity. It's ready. It's ready to go, guys. Mike Dean, ready. There we go. So that's the answer there. It's a great question there, Brennan. Nice. All right. And then we had, what else there? Let's go back to here. I think we'll jump back to here. And Brennan says, sorry, did you say there is a floor price of ROI staking of 150%?
No. So that is a number I threw out that was talking specifically about as, let's say, around 10 million tokens come out in Taurus, because all those tokens have a specific number of shares, right? The amount of shares in the pool at that given moment, if all of those tokens come in, would reduce the ROI for everyone to about 100 to 150% ROI, down from what's currently about 2,700%. Right. So pretty significant reduction.
Yeah. So can you just quickly talk about, I guess, the flipping between creation and staking, because there's the ratio, right? So on Taurus, we have the ratio between Taurus and TitanX. On PulseChain, we have the ratio between Taurus and PulseX, all right? That's and correct. So what is the kind of flipping ratio there towards staking as opposed to creating?
Yep. So like you were saying, there's this 100,000 to 1 ratio between PulseX to Pulse. So if you're looking at the USD chart, I would, it's fun to look at the USD chart, but if you really want to watch the system evolve over time and understand where it is in health, and when I say health, it's more like, is it in the state of creation, or is it about to flip over to staking, or vice versa? Mm-hmm. Once you see the price above this 100,000 to 1 point, it's 100,000 PulseX to 1 Unity, then creation ROI is going to be higher than staking. But as the price comes down and touches this 100,000 to 1 and goes below, it's about 5 or so % below that point, then the ROI will tick over to favor staking completely. And as we hit that point, they'll kind of equal out.
Fantastic. Love it. So that's a key global thing that you're going to have to look out for if you're watching and take note. So there's all the things that you can do as a person participating, and then there's all these global, I guess, patterns and features that you need to think about as well. And of course, a lot of that's on the protocol itself. Now, I guess it's time to flick into Rich Anderson said, "Stole my idea" on the site there for the June. Roadmap, future roadmap. You teased about this potential, roadmap, and I guess let us know a little bit about that. And of course, maybe other protocols that are looking at Unity as well as using that in their protocols. If you've got anything you can say about any of that.
So, in terms of the roadmap, I've spoken about the vision for Unity and Taurus, and that is to have a full-on, let's say, economy. Something that is like complete. Has many ways of having many supply sinks, but that are also revenue opportunities for people too. It's not just a place for people to lock up and then all of a sudden they're doing nothing with the tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to say what the vision is or exactly what that entails. But for Unity, you might get a little bit of a glimpse as you watch what happens with Taurus over the coming weeks and months ahead, as a bit of a glimpse. But specifically with the wrapped stakes and wrapped creations, if you look at what that unlocked for Hex, did some pretty amazing things with those kind of features. And so I wonder if, you could take that its own direction or something more powerful with maybe Unity or Taurus.
Okay.
Yep. That's all I can say.
Maybe Unity and Taurus and Taurus. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. That's cool. Now, I guess third parties. Any other third party people hitting you up about using Unity, like lending platforms, like obviously on Taurus or on Pulse Chain?
What can I say about this?
On the ETH chain, Pulse Chain.
I can say that I have, of Shadowy, so Super Shadowy, who has built Ouroboros.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I would love to see Taurus, be utilized by Ouroboros. I don't know for sure that Super Shadowy has definitive plans at this point to go over to Pulse Chain, but if so, I would love to see, something happen between Ouroboros and Unity. And I mean, there are conversations being had that have been happening for a while, but that's all I can say for now on that front.
Okay. We also saw Brandon talk about, Eric talking about Tink Farms, and looks like you're on the roadmap for the next wave with good old Taurus over there. Do you think we could see, if that's a farm, could we see some of the farms that we got over on Pulse Chain? We've got like 7 hot farms right now, and some of them might be able to pick up Unity and do incentives. So if you're out there, guys, you're a farmer and you're a farm founder, maybe hit up CryptoGraphics on that one, because Unity is coming to town. And so excited about that. So since Unity is coming to town, what's the launch window? Where are we at? And how can people, I guess, get hold of you in terms of socials and stuff like that?
Yep. So we are about 6 hours away from the start of this launch window. And this launch window, just for people to understand, is chosen because sniper bots are a real thing and they tend to do annoying things with the price chart. And luckily, this isn't one of those systems where people can really get a hold of supply and then dump on everyone's heads. It's just not possible because the supply comes out every single or over time. So there's not so much damage they could do, but it's still annoying. And so we chose a 3-day window with an undisclosed time, so that way we can mitigate this. But that 3-day window starts in 6 hours, or just under 6 hours now, and it will go for 3 full days. And well, maybe not. We'll see.
Maybe, yeah. So the window starts in 6 hours. It's going to run it could launch at any time during those next 3 days after 6 hours. So yeah, I mean, it's 7 o'clock my time. So that's exciting. And so if you guys want to get ready, save Unity to your favorites. That is the link right there. Always use official links. Don't Google it or use some of the weird Google browser, because you get scammed. And also, if you want to hit up CryptoGraphics, which obviously you got to see him talk now, and of course have seen over the years, is now moved on into being a founder and excited about where this is going. That's CryptoGraphics on X, and give him a follow. And of course, if you want to be right there when it launches, that's the window. It's had 4 audits too. Is that right? 4 audits by the time it launches?
That's correct. Yeah, Taurus had 3. We had one more extra one specifically for Unity, and also the wrapped creations and stakes had a whole nother audit done on that as well. So
if you're looking at audits, it's had them all, the bells and whistles, which is pretty incredible. And this is fit for the long run, right? This protocol is ready to rock for decades to come. So excited about how many cycles to go through and all the journey it's going to be. Can't wait for it to launch, and on Pulse Chain it's going to be mega huge. Very excited about it, and this is one of the heavyweights from my point of view launching this year. So very excited. CryptoGraphics, congratulations. We're about an hour and 15 minutes into the show, which is pretty much when I finish, and I think we've perfectly timed it. So and you've timed the market from the looks of it pretty well as well. So that's a place to go. Final words to out there to all the Unitarians, or whatever they're going to be called.
The Unitarians. I kind of like that, actually. Oh man, what can I say? I mean, first of all, Superman, thank you for having me. It's always great to hang out with you on stream. I really do actually love your streams. So this has been fun. And also for everyone that's watching, join the Telegram, t.me/UnityWin or t.me/TaurusWin to come learn about Taurus as well. And make sure you're following the right platforms. That's my big thing. I don't know if we didn't have it for Taurus, but I'm always so concerned about someone coming out and pretending to be, me or Unity on X and getting people. So just make sure if you're watching the stream, just make sure you go click the bell icon, because tonight I'm going to make a post from both accounts. It's going to say this is the last post that these accounts will make until Unity goes live. Wow. And so make sure your notifications are on. So the moment that Unity goes live, you can have instant official statement with the contract addresses, the links, everything. So please do that. I don't want anyone to get the wrong information out there.
Fantastic. Well, all the links are in the chat there, and I will post them after the show under the YouTube videos. And of course, I'll also put them on the X show as well. Thank you so much, CryptoGraphics. I'm hyper excited. I think this really, like I said, is one of the heavyweight protocols to launch on Pulse Chain. And let's see how much PulseX will be burned to the ground. Can we come? All right. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow, subscribe to CryptoGraphics, obviously to Unity as well. And I'll catch you guys again on tomorrow's show. Hope you enjoyed it. And let's have a good time. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Peace out. Final words.
Thanks, everyone.
Welcome
to the age of Unity on Pulse Chain.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Appreciate all the nice words too from everyone in the chat there. Appreciate it, guys. We're pumping them through right now. Right and take care. All right. Bye for now. Peace out.